February 19th, 2019, 9:47 p.m. I was sitting in a call room at Massachusetts General Hospital. White coat, stethoscope, a half-eaten protein bar on the desk. My pager was silent. For once, I had 14 minutes before my next patient. I opened my laptop.
Not to check labs.
To check a stock chart. My name is Priya. I was 31 years old, medical resident, internal medicine. I worked 80 hours a week. I made $62,000 a year. I had $190,000 in student loans. I lived in a studio apartment in Somerville. $1,800 a month. My neighbor had a cat that yowled at 3 a.m. I didn't complain. I was never home. I started trading stocks during my second year of residency. A patient's son was a day trader. He made $400,000 the previous year. He showed me his account on his phone. I said, "Is that legal?" He laughed. He said, "It's just gambling with extra steps."
I didn't laugh.
I opened a brokerage account the next day. I had $8,000 in savings. I put in $5,000. I bought tech stocks, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. I made $200 in a week, then $400, then $1,000. I was hooked. I started reading about biotech. I was a doctor. I understood the science. I could read clinical trial data. I could spot winners before the market did. In March 2019, I found a small biotech company. Call it OncoCure. They had a phase 3 trial for a lung cancer drug. I read the protocol. I read the preclinical data. I thought it would succeed. I put $10,000 into call options. 2 weeks later, the trial results came out. Positive. The stock went up 340% in one day. My $10,000 became $44,000. I sold. Profit. $34,000. In one day. That was more than half my annual salary. I didn't tell my attending physician. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone. I just stared at the screen. My hands were shaking. My pager went off. I ignored it. By June 2019, I had turned my $5,000 into $180,000. I was trading every day, between patients, during lunch, in the bathroom. I would excuse myself to review a chart and check my options positions. I was good, or lucky. I didn't know the difference. I paid off one of my student loans, $40,000. I felt like a genius. I bought a used BMW 3 Series, $28,000. I told my parents I got a bonus. They didn't ask questions. They were proud. In August 2019, I made my biggest trade yet. A biotech company called NeuroHeal. They had an Alzheimer's drug. Phase 2 results were coming in 2 weeks. I read the data. I thought it would work. I put $120,000 into call options. That was most of my trading account. I didn't sleep for 10 days. The results came out on a Thursday morning, 6:30 a.m. I was in the hospital. I checked my phone in the bathroom stall. The drug failed. The stock dropped 78%. My $120,000 became $26,000. I lost $94,000 in 30 seconds. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked out of the bathroom. I saw a patient. I prescribed antibiotics. I went home at 9 p.m. I sat on my couch. I stared at the wall. My neighbor's cat yowled. I didn't care. I had $60,000 left in my trading account. I had $150,000 in student loans. I had a BMW. I had a studio apartment. I was 31 years old. I was a doctor. I was an idiot. Any normal person would have stopped, would have closed the account, would have focused on medicine, would have been grateful for the $60,000. I am not a normal person. I wanted it back. The $94,000. The $180,000 peak. The feeling of being invincible. In October 2019, I doubled down. I found a biotech company called GeneFix. They had a gene therapy for hemophilia. Phase 3 results were coming in December. I read the data. I thought it would work. I put $50,000 into call options. I borrowed $20,000 from my credit card. 18% interest. I didn't care. December 2019. The results came out. Positive. The stock went up 210%. My $70,000 became $217,000. I made back everything. I was up. I was alive. I was back. I didn't sell. I wanted more. I wanted $500,000. I wanted to pay off all my loans. I wanted to quit residency. I wanted to trade full-time. The stock kept climbing. Up 250%. Up 280%. My account hit $280,000. I didn't sell. Up 300%. $300,000. I didn't sell. Then it peaked. Then it fell. Profit takers. Short sellers. It dropped to 220%. My $300,000 became $240,000. I sold at $240,000. Profit from the trade, $170,000. I had $230,000 total. Better than $60,000. But not the $500,000 I wanted. I was addicted. January 2020. I heard about a biotech company called Viral Clear. They had an antiviral drug for a new virus coming out of China. Nobody knew what it was yet. I read the early data. I thought it might work. I put $200,000 into call options. All of it. YOLO. February 2020. The virus had a name. COVID-19. The market crashed. Everything crashed. My $200,000 became $80,000 in 2 weeks. I held. I believed in the drug. March 2020. The company announced positive phase 1 results. The stock went up 140% in a day. My $80,000 became $192,000. I was back. I didn't sell. I wanted $500,000. April 2020. The company announced a secondary offering. Dilution. The stock dropped 40%. My $192,000 became $115,000. I sold. Profit from the trade, minus $85,000. I had $115,000 left. I lost $85,000 on one trade, on a COVID drug, during a pandemic. I was a doctor. I should have known better. I didn't. I quit my residency in May 2020. I told my program director I was taking a leave of absence for personal reasons. She asked if I was sick. I said no. She asked if I needed help. I said no. She said, "Your patients will miss you." I said they'll be fine. I walked out. I never went back. I had $115,000. I had $150,000 in student loans. I had a BMW. I had a studio apartment. I had no job. I had no plan. I moved back in with my parents. In New Jersey. I was 32 years old. My mom made me breakfast. My dad asked what I was doing. I said trading. He said, "Trading what?" I said, "Stocks." He said, "Get a real job." I said, "This is a real job." He walked away. I traded for my childhood bedroom. Same desk where I did my homework. Same posters on the wall. Same twin bed. I had 2 monitors. A laptop. A mouse with a broken scroll wheel. In June 2020, I found a biotech company called ImmuneRx. They had a COVID antibody. Phase 2 results were coming in August. I read the data. I thought it would work. I put $80,000 into call options. I borrowed $30,000 from my parents. I told them it was for living expenses. They believed me. August 2020. The results came out. Positive. The stock went up 180%. My $110,000 became $308,000. I was back. I was up. I was a genius again. I didn't sell. I wanted $1 million. I wanted to pay back my parents. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to prove everyone wrong. The stock kept climbing. Up 220%. My account hit $370,000. I didn't sell. Up 250%. $420,000. I didn't sell. Then the CEO sold shares. Insider selling. The stock dropped 50% in 3 days. My $420,000 became $210,000. I sold at $210,000. Profit from the trade, $100,000. I had $210,000 total. I should have stopped. I should have taken the $210,000. I should have paid back my parents. I should have gone back to residency. I should have been grateful. I am not a grateful person. September 2020. I found a biotech company called StemCellX. They had a stem cell therapy for heart failure. Phase 3 results were coming in November. I read the data. I thought it would work. I put $200,000 into call options. I borrowed $50,000 from a personal loan. 12% interest. I didn't care. November 2020. The results came out. The drug failed. The stock dropped 85%. My $200,000 became $30,000. I lost $170,000 in one morning. I had $40,000 left. Total. Across all accounts. I owed $150,000 in student loans, $30,000 to my parents, $50,000 on a personal loan, $20,000 in credit card debt. Total debt, $250,000. Assets, $40,000. I was 33 years old. I had no job, no residency, no income, no health insurance. I had a BMW that was worth $18,000. I had a studio apartment lease that I couldn't break. I sat in my childhood bedroom. My mom knocked. She asked if I wanted dinner. I said no. She asked if I was okay. I said I'm fine. That was a lie. I didn't eat for 2 days. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling. I thought about the patients I left. I thought about my program director. I thought about my parents. I thought about the $94,000 loss, the $170,000 loss, the $200,000 I never had. I called my loan servicers. I asked for forbearance. They said yes. I called my credit card company. I asked for a payment plan. They said yes. I called my parents. I told them the truth. My mom cried. My dad said, "Come home." I said, "I am home." I sold the BMW for $16,000. I paid off the credit card debt. I had $20,000 left. I broke my studio apartment lease. Penalty, $6,000. I had $14,000 left. I moved back in with my parents. Permanently. I was 33 years old. I slept in my childhood bedroom. My mom made me breakfast. My dad stopped asking questions. I applied for residency programs. 30 of them. 2 interviews. 0 offers. My gap in employment was too long. My letters of recommendation had expired. My program director declined to write a new one. I was blackballed. Not officially, but effectively. I got a job as a medical writer. $85,000 a year. Remote. I write clinical summaries for a pharmaceutical company. I sit in my childhood bedroom. I type. I edit. I submit. I get paid. I pay my loans. $1,200 a month. I'll be done when I'm 48. I am 36 now. I live with my parents. I have $22,000 in savings. I drive my mom's old Honda Civic. 2014, 110,000 miles. The check engine light is on. I don't care. I don't trade anymore. I don't open the brokerage app. I don't read biotech news. I don't look at clinical trial data. I just write. I write about other people's drugs, other people's trials, other people's successes and failures. I think about the patients sometimes. The ones I left. The ones I could have helped. I think about the call room, the protein bar, the pager, the 14 minutes. I had a calling. Medicine. I traded it for a gamble. I lost. I am not a doctor. I am not a trader. I am a writer. In my childhood bedroom. At 36 years old. My mom still makes me breakfast. My dad still doesn't understand. I still don't explain. I have $14,000 in a savings account. I have $190,000 in student loans. I have a Honda Civic. I have a desk. I have a broken mouse. I learned something. Knowing the science doesn't mean knowing the market. The FDA doesn't care about your options. The CEO doesn't care about your calls. The stock doesn't care about your residency. I cared too much. I lost everything. I am still here. Still writing.
Still paying.
Still living. That's not winning. That's not losing. That's surviving. It's enough.